And with this new swift system of assembly, Henry Ford achieved the end he had been working for.
This is the entire history of Ford, from its modest beginnings to its rise as a global automotive giant. We all know how impactful the visionary leadership of Henry Ford was. Just look at the transformative impact of the Model T, but since then they have come a long way. Ford is celebrated for the company's adaptation to modern challenges and technological advancements. But how exactly did we get here? The early years. Henry Ford was born on the 30th of July, 1863 in the small rural community of Dearborn, Michigan. His early life was marked by the rhythms of farm life, where his father, William Ford, had laid down roots. The farm was a bustling place where every member of the family contributed to the work that kept it running. From a young age, Ford was exposed to the hard, relentless labor that came with tending to the land and livestock. However, as he grew, it became clear that young Henry's interests lay elsewhere. Unlike his father, who found purpose in the cultivation of crops, Ford was drawn to the mechanical workings of the everyday items around him. Even as a child, he displayed an innate curiosity and an exceptional ability to understand how things worked. This curiosity was first piqued when his father gifted him a pocket watch. With a keen eye and deft hands, young Henry eagerly took it apart and reassembled it on his own. The fascination with gears and levers fueled a deeper interest that would stay with him for the rest of his life. Ford's education was basic, as was typical for rural children of his time. However, he found the schoolroom uninspiring. His learning continued at home, where he preferred to discover the world through experience and experimentation. The farm became his laboratory, each mechanism a new puzzle to solve. It wasn't long before Ford was sought after by friends and neighbors to repair their watches, having gained a reputation for his ability to make intricate repairs with ease. Despite this blossoming talent, Ford's family expected him to eventually take over the farm. Yet the tedious and repetitive nature of farming failed to capture his imagination. The major turning point came with the passing of his mother, Mary Ford. Henry had shared an exceptionally close bond with her, and her death left a lasting void in his life. His grief, coupled with an increasing dissatisfaction with farm life, led Ford to yearn for something more, a calling that was not tied to the land. Leaving home. At the age of 16 in 1879, Henry Ford made the bold decision to leave his family and their farm behind. It was a move that stirred controversy within his household, particularly with his father, who hoped Henry would carry on the family legacy. But Ford felt a pull towards the burgeoning world of industry and innovation that could not be ignored. Detroit, a city in the throes of transformation, was where he sought his future. Arriving in Detroit, Ford was thrust into a dynamic environment quite unlike the one he had left behind. The city was vibrant, with the hustle of trains and horse-drawn carriages marking the tempo of daily life. It was an era defined by emerging technologies, with nascent industrial endeavors providing fertile ground for a young man eager to learn. Ford's initial experiences in Detroit were marked by struggle and perseverance. He found work as an apprentice machinist at the Michigan Car Company, one of the largest manufacturers of railroad cars. The job offered Ford the opportunity to immerse himself in the intricacies of machinery and engineering. Though demanding, he embraced the experience, determined to build a career rooted in his passion for mechanics. Despite his enthusiasm, Ford faced setbacks early on. Jobs were not always stable, and he was dismissed from the Michigan Car Company after only a brief tenure. Undeterred, Ford took on various roles at different firms, each new position a chance to absorb new knowledge and skills. He eventually secured a place as an apprentice at the James Flower and Brothers machine shop. Though the pay was modest, Ford was grateful for the opportunity to refine his craft. As the months rolled by, Ford supplemented his income by repairing watches, a skill he had maintained from his youth. By night, he worked as a jeweler, cleaning and fixing timepieces, all the while devoting whatever spare time he had to studying and understanding machines. His industrious nature and relentless drive to succeed kept him moving forward, even when circumstances were less than ideal. The first innovations. As the 1900s dawned, Henry Ford's trajectory took a significant turn. By then, he had garnered enough experience to feel confident in his mechanical abilities. A pivotal moment arrived when Ford, at 28, first encountered the gas-powered engine. This European invention, developed in part by the German engineer Nikolaus Otto, had reached American shores and was touted as the future of propulsion. The gas engine was a revelation to Ford. Unlike steam engines, which required time to start up and were cumbersome, gas engines offered efficiency and immediacy. Intrigued by their potential, Ford began a self-directed study to understand how these engines worked. His curiosity soon turned into a passion, as he envisioned adapting this emerging technology to create a horseless carriage. In 1891, Ford took a significant step by joining the Edison Illuminating Company as a night engineer. The company was responsible for providing electric lighting to a growing number of homes in Detroit. For Ford, this position was ideal. It provided him with stable employment and access to the mechanical realms he so eagerly wished to explore. By 1896, Ford's efforts culminated in the creation of his first experimental vehicle, the quadricycle. This invention was a small, four-wheeled vehicle driven by a gasoline engine. It was simple and unrefined by today's standards, but it represented the realization of Ford's dream. The quadricycle caught the attention of those around him, signaling Ford's entry into a new era of innovation. Despite the excitement surrounding his creation, Ford recognized that the quadricycle required improvements. It lacked important features, such as a reverse gear, and had no effective cooling system, making it prone to overheating. Nonetheless, it was a starting point, a vehicle that marked the beginning of his career as a pioneer of the automobile industry. Entrepreneurial failures. The turn of the century saw Henry Ford push forward with ambitions to transform his prototypes into mass production automobiles. His enthusiasm, however, soon gave way to the harsh realities of entrepreneurship. In 1900, Ford co-founded the Detroit Automobile Company alongside Detroit's mayor and a group of investors eager to capitalize on his innovative designs. Though filled with promise, the company faced immediate challenges. Ford found himself at odds with the stakeholders, who prioritized profitability and preferred production of passenger cars over his mechanical innovations, compounded by issues in supply chain management, such as delayed deliveries of crucial parts. The company struggled to maintain its operations. Ultimately, the company's inability to effectively produce and market a successful vehicle forced its closure after only a year. This failure, while unfortunate, offered Ford valuable insight. He learned important lessons about the intricacies of business management and the necessity of aligning technical aspirations with commercial viability. Undeterred by the collapse, Ford pivoted to another plan, racing. At the time, car racing was growing in popularity across the United States. Ford saw an opportunity that went beyond mere competition. Racing cars allowed him to test the limits of his designs under rigorous conditions and offered a platform to showcase the potential of his vehicles. In pursuing this path, Ford attracted attention from investors who were once again willing to back his ventures. These early entrepreneurial failures highlighted the challenges Ford faced in transforming his inventive concepts into commercially viable products. Yet they also underscored his resilience and capacity to leverage lessons learned to fuel future endeavors. Ford's perseverance through these rocky beginnings laid the foundations for what would eventually become one of the most significant companies in automotive history, establishing a legacy. In the early 1900s, Henry Ford's ambitions took a definitive shape as he set out to establish a company that would bring his vision of affordable automobiles to life. Ford had learned from his previous missteps and was more determined than ever to create vehicles that were not just mechanical marvels, but also accessible to the broader public. In 1903, he founded the Ford Motor Company with the backing of 11 investors, including Alexander Malcolmson, a coal dealer from Detroit. Ford's vision was clear from the start. He wanted to build a motor car for the great multitude, as he famously declared. The foundation of the company was built on this ideal, emphasizing the need for affordability and quality, a combination that would make car ownership possible for average Americans. This approach set Ford apart from other automakers of the time, who typically marketed their vehicles as luxury items exclusive to the wealthy. From its inception, the Ford Motor Company faced daunting challenges. The automotive industry was still in its infancy, and many questioned the viability of producing vehicles for mass consumption. Moreover, Ford had to contend with skeptical investors and the pressure to deliver results quickly. Despite these hurdles, Ford's unwavering belief in his vision, combined with his technical expertise and business acumen, paved the way for what would soon become a manufacturing revolution. To achieve his goals, Ford surrounded himself with skilled individuals who shared his passion. He attracted talented engineers and innovative thinkers to his team, fostering a culture of progress and experimentation, collaborative teamwork, and a commitment to continuous improvement became hallmarks of the Ford Motor Company, setting the stage for the transformative developments that lay ahead. The Model T revolution. The introduction of the Model T in 1908 marked a watershed moment in the history of the Ford Motor Company and the automotive industry as a whole. Known affectionately as the Tin Lizzie, the Model T was designed to be robust, simple to drive, and affordable, principles that encapsulated Henry Ford's vision. Before the arrival of the Model T, automobiles were largely considered luxury items, inaccessible to the average person. Ford's innovation changed that perception, making car ownership a possibility for millions. Priced initially at $825, the Model T was a hit, quickly gaining popularity across America for its reliability and practicality. The real revolution, however, went beyond the car itself. It was Ford's innovative approach to manufacturing that redefined the industry. The adoption and refinement of the assembly line method allowed Ford to drastically reduce the time it took to build a car. Instead of constructing vehicles one at a time and in a stationary position, the assembly line brought the work to the workers. This monumental shift in production methodology increased efficiency and output, enabling the Ford Motor Company to cut costs and lower the price of the Model T over time. Ford's assembly line reduced the production time of a single car from approximately 12 hours to about 90 minutes. By 1916, the price of a Model T had dropped significantly, making it even more affordable. This democratization of automobile ownership fundamentally altered American society, spurring infrastructure development and transforming the landscape from rural to urban. The Model T was not just a car, it was a symbol of freedom and mobility, emblematic of the changing times. The ripple effects of Ford's innovations were profound. Other manufacturers quickly adopted the assembly line method, contributing to the broader industrialization of the United States. The principles of mass production developed by Ford would later influence industries worldwide, shaping the modern economy in ways that continue to resonate today. Labor relations and worker welfare. As the Ford Motor Company grew, Henry Ford's approach to labor and worker welfare became a defining feature of his business philosophy. In 1914, Ford made a groundbreaking decision that sent shockwaves throughout the corporate world. He introduced the $5 workday, nearly doubling the wages of his workers. This bold move not only attracted skilled labor to his factories, but also set new standards for employee compensation. Ford's decision was not purely altruistic, it was rooted in practical business acumen. By paying his workers higher wages, Ford aimed to reduce turnover and increase productivity. He believed that content and financially secure employees would contribute to a more efficient and harmonious workplace. The $5 workday quickly resulted in lower absenteeism and higher morale, validating Ford's strategy. Moreover, Ford saw the economic logic in placing more buying power into the hands of the working class. If his workers could afford to buy the cars they were building, it would increase demand for his vehicles, creating a self-sustaining cycle of production and consumption. This concept of Fordism not only revolutionized labor relations, but also played a crucial role in the development of the American middle class. Despite the success of this strategy, Ford's paternalistic approach to management was met with mixed reactions. He implemented a sociological department tasked with monitoring the personal lives of employees to ensure they were living moral lives according to his standards. While meant to promote stability, these intrusive practices drew criticism and highlighted the potential overreach of Ford's approach. Nonetheless, the impact of Ford's labor policies was undeniable. His innovations in wages and working conditions became benchmarks for industries beyond automotive manufacturing. These changes sparked broader conversations about workers' rights, fair wages, and the balance between employer control and employee autonomy. Expanding horizons. With the success of the Model T and the assembly line, Ford began to look towards expanding his brand's reach beyond the United States. As the 1920s unfolded, the Ford Motor Company embarked on a journey of global expansion, establishing assembly plants and sales operations in numerous countries. This international expansion was motivated by a desire to tap into new markets and extend the reach of his automobiles to a worldwide audience. In Europe, Ford set up facilities in locations such as Manchester, England, and Berlin, Germany, building cars suited to regional preferences and regulations. The company's growth into international markets was not without its challenges. Each country had its own set of industrial landscapes and competition. Ford's strategy focused on adapting production techniques and model offerings to align with local demands, underscoring a commitment to globalization balanced with cultural sensitivity. This era also witnessed Ford exploring ways to diversify his product line. As the tastes of consumers evolved, Ford introduced new models and innovations aimed at attracting a broader audience. These models included practical vehicles for everyday use, as well as offerings geared towards specific needs, such as trucks for commercial purposes. Although the Model T remained a cornerstone product, these new models reflected the company's intent to adapt to consumer trends and economic shifts. The Roaring '20s also brought increased competition from other car manufacturers, eager to replicate Ford's success. Companies such as General Motors began offering a wider selection of vehicles with features that appealed to a variety of aesthetic and practical preferences. In response, Ford maintained a strong focus on quality and affordability, ensuring that the brand remained synonymous with reliability, even as market dynamics evolved. The global and diversified focus helped sustain Ford's momentum through the decade, positioning the company as a formidable presence in the automotive world. By laying the groundwork for international operations and product diversification, Ford positioned itself advantageously to navigate the challenging economic climates that lay ahead. The Great Depression. The early 1930s brought the Great Depression, an unprecedented challenge for industries worldwide, and Ford Motor Company was no exception. As unemployment soared and consumer spending plummeted, the demand for automobiles collapsed, leading to immense financial pressure on manufacturers. Ford, renowned for its fair wages, had to reconsider its business model, leading to painful layoffs and wage cuts despite its commitment to its workforce. Even amidst these challenges, Ford did not abandon its innovative spirit. Recognizing the need to adapt, the company focused on diversifying its range of products and reaching new markets, ensuring that its vehicles remained practical and cost-effective during tough economic times. Ford's dedication to quality and affordability helped widen its consumer base, even as global markets faced contraction. The economic downswing underscored the importance of Ford's international operations. With the domestic market struggling, Ford's overseas plants provided a crucial lifeline, offering some stability. To support its recovery, the company focused on research and development, preparing for post-depression breakthroughs that would restore its competitive edge once the economy rebounded. The post-war boom. The post-war era of the late 1940s marked a time of renewal as economies began to rebuild and expand. The automotive industry surged, driven by increased consumer demand and a rejuvenated economy. Ford Motor Company was well positioned to capitalize on this growth, thanks in part to its wartime efforts that enhanced its production capabilities and cemented its reputation as a key player in industrial prowess. During the war, Ford had shifted to producing military vehicles and equipment, which honed its manufacturing processes. As peace returned, the company transitioned smoothly back to commercial automobile production. It introduced iconic vehicles that catered to a diverse consumer base. Notably, the launch of the Ford F-Series trucks in 1948 captured the market's attention, offering durability and versatility that appealed to both personal and professional users. The 50s saw Ford expand its product line further, prioritizing style and comfort in response to emerging consumer preferences. The 1955 Ford Thunderbird became a cultural icon, highlighting Ford's understanding of the evolving tastes of the American public. Under Henry Ford Thie's leadership, Ford embraced modern management practices, allowing the company to stay competitive and innovative in this rapidly changing landscape. The muscle car era and environmental awareness. The automotive discourse of the 1960s was defined largely by the muscle car phenomenon, an era characterized by powerful engines and bold design. Ford seized this opportunity to carve out a distinct identity with the introduction of the Mustang in 1964. Known as the pony car, the Mustang showcased the decade's rebellious spirit, powerful and adventurous, yet accessible to a wide demographic. The Mustang quickly became a cultural icon, thanks in part to its appearances in movies and television shows, embedding itself in popular culture. It offered a range of customization options, allowing owners to personalize their vehicles, which further enhanced its appeal. Despite fierce competition from rivals like Chevrolet and Dodge, Ford stayed at the forefront by continuously innovating with design and technology enhancements. The muscle car era emphasized Ford's ability to adapt to shifting consumer preferences, reinforcing its capacity to remain relevant in a dynamic industry. This period left a lasting influence on automotive design that continues to be celebrated in modern iterations of the Mustang today. As the 60s concluded, public focus shifted towards environmental concerns, prompting industries to rethink their practices. For Ford Motor Company, this meant embarking on initiatives aimed at reducing its environmental footprint. The 70s saw the introduction of catalytic converters to limit exhaust emissions, an important step in addressing pollution concerns. In response to new regulatory standards regarding emissions and fuel efficiency, Ford developed smaller, more economical cars like the Ford Pinto and Ford Fiesta, aligning with consumer demand for vehicles that balanced efficiency with performance. This pivot marked a shift towards sustainability, compelling Ford to invest in alternative energy research that laid the groundwork for future advancements in hybrid and electric vehicle technology. The drive for cleaner transportation revealed Ford's willingness to adapt to changing priorities, highlighting how shifts in consumer and regulatory landscapes could influence innovation. This era set the stage for Ford's ongoing commitment to sustainable automotive solutions, underscoring its adaptability in an evolving global market. Modernization and the future. As the 20th century drew to a close, globalization reshaped entire industries, including the automotive sector. For Ford Motor Company, this era was marked by the strategic expansion into burgeoning international markets. By the 1980s, Ford had established itself as a global brand, supported by numerous assembly plants and partnerships that catered to diverse consumer needs across the world. In Asia, particularly in rapidly growing economies, Ford pursued joint ventures and opened manufacturing facilities to better meet local demands. Meanwhile, in Europe, Ford successfully marketed compact and fuel-efficient vehicles, while in Latin America, the brand's reputation for reliability and affordability appealed to practical-minded consumers. These expansions demonstrated Ford's ability to balance its American roots with the need to adapt to different cultural and regulatory landscapes. Despite these successes, global expansion involved challenges such as navigating economic volatility and ensuring consistent quality and innovation across regions. The 90s, for instance, posed economic instability in parts of the world, testing Ford's resilience. By maintaining a diversified product portfolio responsive to regional economic conditions, Ford upheld its status as a global automotive leader. Technological advancements. As the calendar turned to the 21st century, technology emerged as a central force in shaping the automotive industry. For Ford, keeping pace with technological advancements was crucial for maintaining its competitive edge. This new era called for reimagining the driving experience, as innovative features became increasingly sought after by tech-savvy consumers. In the early 2000s, Ford made significant investments in research and development, with a focus on integrating electronics for enhanced safety, connectivity, and efficiency. Cutting-edge infotainment systems, driver assistance technologies, and smart telematics underscored Ford's commitment to innovation. A crucial milestone in Ford's technological journey was venturing into hybrid and electric vehicles. Recognizing the industry's shift towards sustainable options, Ford introduced models like the Ford Escape Hybrid, one of the first sports utility vehicles of its kind. This move marked Ford's dedication to energy-efficient vehicles, setting the stage for future electrification efforts. Ford also placed emphasis on autonomous vehicle technology, investing in research and partnerships to realize the potential of self-driving cars. While these initiatives remain under development, they reflect Ford's vision of transforming the future of mobility through advanced technology. The changing automotive landscape. The convergence of technologies, including artificial intelligence and the Internet of Things, has significantly transformed the automotive landscape in the 21st century. For Ford, adapting to these changes required a balance between traditional manufacturing expertise and new technological frontiers. The emergence of new players such as technology companies challenged established automakers like Ford to accelerate their own electric vehicle programs. In response, Ford committed substantial resources to developing competitive electric offerings. Collaborations and strategic investments set Ford on a course to achieve ambitious sustainability goals. Consumer preferences evolved as well, shifting towards shared mobility services and enhanced convenience. This evolution prompted Ford to explore new business models, including shared transportation initiatives. Such ventures demonstrated Ford's willingness to innovate beyond traditional car manufacturing, expanding into mobility solutions that cater to the modern urban environment. Ford's continual evolution in its product lineup reflected these paradigm shifts, with expanded offerings of electric and hybrid models that met both performance and environmental demands. The integration of connectivity features illustrated consumers' growing desire for seamless digital interactions with their vehicles. Despite ongoing innovations, challenges persisted. Adaptation required recalibrating legacy systems and meeting regulatory demands, but Ford's dedication to quality and ingenuity helped it navigate these transitions transitions effectively. The resilience and vision that define Ford's heritage continue to guide its journey in an ever-evolving industry. Ford Motor Company's legacy is marked by continuous innovation and quality. Over the past century, it has adapted to changes in technology and consumer needs while shaping transportation's future. Today, Ford emphasizes sustainability with plans to electrify its lineup and advance autonomous driving. Embracing the digital revolution, Ford remains a leader in crafting vehicles that combine traditional craftsmanship with cutting-edge technology, leaving a positive impact on society and mobility. But that's all for now, folks. Thanks for watching.